Ladies and gentlemen, you are watching Concert Junkies, Rob and John. Oh, yeah.
And we're live. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Mark Weiss, photographer of rock.
So I'm going to start with some hard questions here for you.
Oh boy.
If you could, last party, everybody that you've photographed is there. Who is the main person that you want there?
All right, so repeat that question again.
You have a party, like a big last party.
Okay.
I'll give you top 5 people that you've photographed, that you've taken pictures of in the rock scene. Who do you want to hang out with?
Oh, well, definitely Ozzy, and Zach, and probably the Cinderella guys, Tom Kiefer, my buddies from Slaughter, Mark and Dana, and Vince from Motley, and let's see who else. Rob Halford. It was Alice Cooper. That's my list.
Okay.
Sammy Hagar for sure.
Of course,
He'll be the ringleader, the party host.
So when you take your photos, do you take the photos with your eyes or your heart?
When I usually just go for the moment. So really, I would say it's even Steven. It's probably my heart, really. I mean, my eyes just visualize what's there and kind of helps me, take the picture. But it's really, taking photographs is really an emotional thing, and I'm there with the subject to kind of, bring something, hopefully something different, a different perspective through my eyes. So without the eyes, it wouldn't be able to get to the heart. So it's kind of, they go hand in hand.
So this is just a question for myself, because I'm doing my first festival ever in September at Brewstock. It's in North Carolina. What advice would you give me for filming and things to do, things not to do?
So you're a photographer and you're shooting a festival.
Yes.
Well, just kind of abide by the rules, even though I didn't in the beginning. Play nice, be respectful of the other people. I'm always like, even though we have the privilege of being in the photo pit, you really have to be respectful of the audience. They paid, or if it's a festival, they stayed up all night and they're squeezed in that area right in the front. So even though you have the privilege of being up there, you're basically in their way. And that's why, they give you like the 3-song rule, unless you're working for the band. So, just keep away, be respectful of the audience, and also the artist. Make sure you're not in their face too much, unless you're trying to, create, get a little reaction out of them. Yeah. So just kind of play nice with all the other photographers. Give everyone each other's room. Be friendly to them, and meet new friends and network.
So your first camera that you ever got, do you still have it? And what kind was it?
Yeah, it's a Bell & Howell Canon camera. I got it by mowing someone's lawn when I was 12 years old. He gave me this camera. I knocked on his door and he said, I said, "Do you need your lawn mowed?" And he said, "No, I do it myself." And I said, it doesn't look that way. And he kind of like gave me a little smirk, and he came back with his camera. And I thought, wow, I'll take the camera after I cut his lawn for, the season, and then hock it in the pawn shop down the street. And that's kind of was the plan until the following week. I got in a motorcycle accident, ended up in the hospital for like a month. I had a concussion. And then when I got home, the camera was sitting on my shelf, and I was lying in my bed for the whole summer just looking at it. And, obviously I didn't take it to the pawn shop and sell it for $100. So I started, playing with it, and opening it up. And then when I got better, I went to my middle school, Carl Sandburg, actually, in Old Bridge. And I asked the teacher, Mr. Jiraki, I think his name was, if he'd teach me they had a darkroom there, and if he'd teach me how to develop film. And he did. And that was my first kind of taste of photography. And I kind of fell in love with it. I just thought for like a year, I just started taking pictures of my family events, my brother riding his motorcycle, and my dog. And I basically did that until I kind of got bored after a year of doing that. And then I started going to concerts the following year in 1974. Crosby, Stills, Nash & Young. It was my first concert I went to. And then the first concert I shot a few months later was Elton John at Madison Square Garden, 1974. And then that's where I got the bug.
So I heard that
Right. So what I did was I started selling my pictures in front of concerts in 1976, 77. And, in front, I would stay up all night and take pictures. And the next day I would stay in front of the concerts and outside of my high school, actually out of my locker, and sell them for $1 a piece until I got arrested at a Kiss concert in 1977. And then I went to Circus Magazine the next day, and kind of was good timing. I met the art director and the publisher, Jerry Rothberg. And within like 6 months, I ended up getting my first picture published with Steven Tyler, a centerfold of Steven Tyler. And then the ball started rolling from there. And within a year from that time, I became the staff photographer. And when Van Halen, one of my first assignments was at Convention Hall in Asbury in 1979, when Van Halen played Convention Hall in Asbury Park.
So I heard that you met Ozzy when you were 18.
Actually, it was a little bit later than that, but I was pretty young. That's when I started shooting when I was 18. But my first shoot I did with him was in 1981, and I was 21. And that was for Circus Magazine. That was for the cover of Circus Magazine.
So would you like to explain to everybody the Kickstarter?
Yeah, sure. So I have a Kickstarter campaign. Mikkel, who's my partner in the magazine with Mima Publishing, we have a publishing company, and we basically started a magazine a little over a year ago when the Monsters of Rock cruise. I was invited to sell my books, and I had a book signing. But I could only bring a certain amount of books because they're so heavy, and it was on a cruise, and you can only bring so much. So I said, why don't we do a fanzine of all the bands that were on the boat? And we did a quick. In 3 days, she pulled it together and did basically a pinup magazine with a little bit editorial, and then we sold them on the boat, and had people sign them, and did a book signing and a magazine signing, and they kind of sold out, and we kind of made our money back. And we did it again a few months ago when the cruise left again, different bunch of bands. And then after that, we decided to turn it into a real magazine. So we started production on it. We're going to put David Lee Roth on the cover, and we kind of developed a theme where past is present. So the plan was to have a picture of like David Lee Roth back in the day from one of my photos. And then on the other side would be a photo from current day, which I just shot him in M3. And then the magazine would end up to a centerfold. So all the photos that are in the David Lee Roth issue, those could be Lita Ford and Rat, and there'll be pictures that I shot back in the 80s, as well as pictures that I recently shot. So it's going to like be pinups and centerfolds and a lot of editorial. And this is kind of a mock-up of it. This is basically issue 2, but we did a little mock-up just to get the ball rolling. So it's pretty much, this is a cover, and the back cover is going to be, it's like the same kind of cover, but it's going to be a recent photo. So it's kind of like 2 covers. So it's pretty cool. So then we have our Rat spread, and then we have our Van Halen spread here, where I kind of talk about my relationship with them and the different tours, each tour that I went on with them, and some letters from the company, wanting me to go out. So talking about my laminates. So it's kind of like my book, The Decade That Rocked, but little episodes. But, my book, The Decade That Rocked, took 5 years to make. So this is like a quick fix for seeing my photos in print. So this is the issue 2 with Jeff Keith. And these are available on rockmag.com, but they're also in our Kickstarter, where you get the whole bundle of 4. And this is our first issue. And this issue, we have a Ace Frehley centerfold, and
I actually just saw him recently.
And these are, and then the new issue, the 4th issue, is going to be Ozzy. And when I went over to England to photograph him, I will be using the photographs as the back cover, and the front cover is going to be photos that from that show, whoever was on it. So Guns N' Roses played, Slayer, Metallica, Anthrax, so they're on here. And so for the first half of the magazine, we'll have little stories and quotes from them from back in the day. And then on the back cover is going to be photos from the same bands from the concert that I just shot in Birmingham, sadly, of Ozzy's last concert. And so that would be the 4th issue. So there'll be 4 issues in bundles, and there'll be there's t-shirts, there's gallery prints that you can get at a fraction of what I charge on my websites, at the galleries, different galleries that I have my photographs in. So if you're interested in getting some prints or any of my magazines or my book, The Decade That Rocked, this would be a good time to kind of get it and help us out with production and printing costs for those 2 issues. And then hopefully we'll carry it on to the next year and do another quarterly, and maybe turn it into a monthly. And we also have the website, rockedmag.com, which is a little more not as the content, just our little flagship kind of base that can guide you where to go, and maybe some new interviews and things like that on it. So it's in development. It's in the make. It's like kind of a work in the making. So it's kind of a fun project for me.
Well, here's a question that was asked in the comments. What is your go-to lens to shoot live shows?
I usually shoot with 3 lenses. It depends where I am. I usually shoot with 3 cameras, just so I'm ready to go. So I have like a 24 to 70, a 70 to 200, and then I have like a real wide one too. I use almost like a fisheye, just when you want to get the whole stage.
Was it a hard transitional period of using digital?
Yeah, I definitely fought it in the beginning, because who likes change? I surely don't. I still don't like whenever I get a new camera, because you have to keep up on the new technology, because the megapixels keep getting bigger. But every time there's a new camera, there's a new feature, and you got to figure it out. And I'm not one for change. I like things simple. And cameras in the old days, there was 3 settings. It was, you put the film in, You set the ISO, and you have the shutter speed, and you have the aperture. They all work together. Now there's all these different, like, you click the wrong button, and it might take you 5 minutes to figure it out, or someone like me anyway. So it's got its advantages, because once you have it dialed in, then you can pretty much shoot really as much as you want. It's just thousands of photos. Like every concert, I can shoot thousands of photographs, and it is the only down part of that is the editing part, because you might have the images, but to find those photos, it's definitely a chore. I mean, I love photographing the bands that I shoot, and a lot of times I just shoot them and just kind of put them on the hard drives. And I think one day I'm going to put them up. That's another reason why I started Rock Magazine, is so I have a place to put them. So aside from being in the magazine, my selected ones, because you can only put so many photographs in a magazine, there'll be a website where you'll see the galleries. So that's kind of in the making right now. And I'm also going to encourage other photographers to join in to shoot their, rock to whoever they like to shoot. It could be a new band, it could be an established band, but if I want variety, I want new bands, as long as it's rock. And they'll have their own page on the site, so they'll have their own rock scene. So if you're a photographer and you kind of like meet the requirements on what I think is good photography, and then I would give you a shot, maybe help you get a photo pass, and then you submit them and put together a gallery, and then you'll have a place where you could showcase your photography with other photographers, and make it more interaction with other photographers and fans, and everyone gets to see them. And it could help you in your career if that's what you want to do as a photographer.
So, with speaking about, you said new artists. Who are you listening to now? Is there any new artists that you really like that you would love to shoot?
I pretty much just shoot like bands that I'm familiar with, really. I don't really shoot new bands unless they're opening up for somebody. Just bands that I've shot for decades. And when they come around, I'll, get a photo pass, and I'll shoot them, and may post a few, and then put them in the magazine when, so now I have a format for it. So.
Is it easier to get a photo pass now than it was back in the day?
It's probably easier now, because now you as long as you have like a fan base where you have followers, and you can show the publicist that you have a following, and it might take some time to build it up, but that's it. Just it could give you, I could be like give everyone a heads up if they work through Rock Magazine, if they need that little jump start to develop their own, because they can also post on their site as well. And then once they develop their relationships with the publicists, and they see that there's photography that they like, if they're good, then the band starts sharing it. You share it with them, and then next time they come around, they'll give you a little more access maybe, and hopefully you click with a band and become their photographer, and they'll take you on tour.
Speaking of tours, what was your favorite tour?
The Ozzy Motley Crue tour, 84.
84. Do you have any good stories about that?
Good stories. Yeah, well, there's a story that I kind of tell a lot, but it's pretty good. It's when I was with Ozzy, and he wanted, the Motley Crue guys asked me if I wanted to like hang out with them on their bus, and I asked, Sharon, because I was traveling with Ozzy at the time, if it was okay, and she's like, "Yeah, go have fun." So I went there, and Nikki brought me backstage, or brought me to the bus. Tommy was in the driver's side, and kind of put his leg out and stop me. And next thing you know, Nikki's biting me. And they have an initiation where they draw blood. So I had to bite Nikki back to stop the biting. And then they eventually let me in. That was kind of crazy.
What was going through your mind when he started biting you?
Just a lot of pain, really. Until I started drinking some Jack Daniels, and then it kind of numbed it. And then I finally bit him back, and I went on the bus, and we had a good time.
So, except for the magazine, what else is going on in your life right now?
Well, I have a couple grandkids that just came into this world, so it makes three, and it's keeping me busy. And I'm really the rock magazine is really my passion. I'm really trying to develop that. I also doing gallery shows and book signings, and I have an exhibition coming up next month, or no, in September, end of September. That's going to be pretty big. It hasn't been announced yet, but it's going to go on for 2 years, and it's pretty up there in exhibition wise. So I'm excited for that. So that's going to keep me busy, and then I'm going to start doing my more books, and eventually my archives. I'm trying to make sense of them a little bit more, and then find someone that might want to purchase their archives. With the companies, all these companies coming around looking for owning publishing and whatnot. They're starting to purchase archives, and as long as I can do books, I don't have a problem with that. As long as I can have access to them, so it's got to be the right buyer and the right amount, of course. But that's kind of what I'm gearing this to. And I'm also working on a screenplay on a story, kind of about my life, but it's a little bit, little fiction, a little nonfiction. So it's something I'm working on my leisure.
Do you have a favorite photo you've taken?
Probably Ozzy in the bathtub. My first photo shoot with Ozzy, actually. Yeah.
I always love the iconic photo of you took with Dee Snyder
Oh,
with,
which one?
with a bone in his mouth.
Oh, the Stay Hungry album cover. Yeah. That's one of my favorites for sure. Yeah. That photo that was kind of a game changer for me, because from after I was doing just covers for magazines, which were very cool, I went to doing album covers. And then from that, I did The Last Command by Wasp, and I did Cinderella Night Songs and Dock and Under Lock and Key, Slippery When Wet, of course, and I'm the Man, Anthrax, Suicidal Tendencies, and it kind of just started from that one shoot. The ball started rolling really. The word got around that I was doing album covers, and it worked. It seemed like every album cover I did went gold or platinum.
So, is there somebody that you always wanted to take photos of that you haven't yet?
Well, I mean, I've shot the Rolling Stones live since 1978. I go probably every tour. I never shot them backstage or did a photo studio shoot with them, so that would be like a go-to. That still could be possible, but that would be the one for sure.
What was the best advice you were ever given?
Uh, honestly, I don't think anyone really gave me advice. I just kind of like figured everything out by myself. I don't think, anyone ever really gave me advice.
Okay, well, can you give anybody advice on just say they started photography now. Is there any tricks of the trade, or is it just keep shooting?
Well, my advice that I give to photographers is to just go with the bands you like, play the music that you like, shoot the bands. I mean, I always like the glam era of the 70s, like Bowie and Queen and Slade and uh, T-Rex and all that. So the 80s was kind of morphed into that. They kind of took a lot from the 70s and turned it into their own. They went a little far with it, but so my advice is just to go with the music that you like and pretty much just people that you want to hang out with. Because I always look at it like every band that I shoot, it's like having 4 or 5 new friends, and that's really holds true with almost every band that I ever shot. Still to this day, I'm friendly with it. 40 years strong with a lot of these people that I worked with, and that's the most rewarding of it all. Just to keep that relationship going and that trust. Once you have the trust with the artist, with the musician, then they kind of like don't even know you're there, and that's when you get the best photographs. That's when you can be like a fly on the wall, and also put you in a situation where they like you and they trust you. And if you want to do studio work, that's, they'll give you a shot at that. And if that's what you like doing, you can direct it and turn these photographs, make it your own, like instead of like just capturing. So I do a little bit of everything. I like to be a fly on the wall. I love shooting live, backstage with moments just fly. And then also most rewarding is doing album covers and photo shoots where the band's kind of like listening. You're directing them, and you're making an image that hopefully will last more than a lifetime. Through album covers, that's a big thing, because the album covers from back in the day, they're streaming and you can see them. So whenever, a lot of times I'm listening to Hair Nation or I'm listening to Ozzy's Boneyard on Sirius, and the visual of the album cover comes up and it's nice and crisp. It's smaller, but it's pretty cool, and it pops up. So, a lot of times like they pop up in a row, and I'm like, it's pretty rewarding seeing that, 40 years later.
I'm still a CD guy. I always make sure if I can grab one, even though I know CDs are not, they're obsolete now, but just for the artwork. I know you only have a couple more minutes, and I appreciate every minute of your time today, sir. Um, is there anything you would like to say to your fans or fellow photographers?
Well, it's not only photographers, just anything that you want to do in life. If you stick with it, you're gonna be successful. If before I was being a photographer, I was mowing lawns and I was good at it. I'd probably be the best lawnmower right now and be happy with it. But fortunately, that mowing that one lawn turned into something that I had no idea was going to happen. I probably never would have, bought a camera or anything like that. So you never know what cards you're going to be dealt. And when something comes your way like that, you just got to take advantage of it and just kind of go with your passion and your heart. And just, for me, it was a way of meeting friends, because I was a shy kid back in the day. And I kind of figured it out not too long ago, what was the deal. And I kind of, like, when I was growing up, my brother, who was a couple years older than me, he had some mental issues. He's a paranoid schizophrenic, and he was going through a lot of trouble, and all the attention went to my brother. And so I was kind of the younger guy, and I didn't want anyone to kind of, I felt bad for my parents. So I kind of kept quiet and kept to myself. And I kind of realized, once I started just taking photographs, I started getting this attention, and started, from bringing the pictures to school, getting the attention from the girls and the guys, and becoming friends through my photographs. So it kind of helped me get the attention I needed from my parents, pretty much. So, you never know what you're going to do in life and why you're doing it, and, why you end up with who you end up. But you just got to travel the path that you're destined to be on, and just hopefully it's a good one and you make good choices and you have a lot of fun.
That being said, do you know what the links are for the rock for the magazine and the Kickstarter? I know it ends on the 13th, I believe.
Right. So there's another week left. You go to rockmag.com or go to markweiss.com. It's simple, markweiss.com. I'm encouraging people to go to Rock Mag on my social media, like on Instagram and Facebook. We're trying to build that following up a bit. Like it, share it with your friends. We're going to be putting a little more content up. Because of Ozzy's passing, I kind of stopped. I didn't really do too much promotion on the Kickstarter. I didn't feel it was respectful, and I just, I was sad on what happened, and I was really was looking to use that as promotion, going to the concert and whatnot. But I just kind of laid low. So we're more than halfway at our goal, and I feel we can make it. And I just need some help, and it's not a donation, it's a pledge. And all you're doing is pre-ordering a magazine, or you get gallery prints that you can purchase, or it's a reward. And if we don't make the goal, then you get your money back. But, we want to make the goal so we can publish these magazines. There's extra rewards. Just got to go on the Kickstarter, go on markweiss.com. You'll see a little Kickstarter button. You click on it. Me and my partner, Mikkel, who's is the creative designer. We do a little Shark Tank speech and talk about what we're about. And there's a lot of stuff on there. There's the mission statements on it. There's a funny clip of David Lee Roth calling me out, which I would encourage people to go check out just for that. It's not posted anywhere yet. And you can see some photographs I just shot of David a few months ago at his first, when he came out of retirement. And then there's a lot of testimonials with bands talking about Rocked and whatnot. So there's a lot of fun stuff. So I encourage people just to go on and help out so we can keep the rock magazines alive and, try to get the pinups back on the wall and the centerfolds, and, turn your now they're the kids of us that, used to put them up. But there's a new generation of kids that are into rock, and that's awesome. And I think the rock magazines and the centerfolds and the pinups will help keep that alive. So that's kind of it. So I want everyone to get rocked.
I'm very honored for you coming on today, and I want to thank you for everything you've done over the years and plenty more years to come.
Thanks for having me.
Just a reminder, this is on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch, all your streaming platforms. And I will see you guys the 13th. Have a great night.